In video production, it is very easy to put too much importance on only the visuals in a video production. The audio is just as important. It's half of the equation in video production. It's much easier to watch a video that has good audio and poor visuals than it is to watch a video that has good visuals, but you can't hear the audio. You can't hear what people are saying. It's garbled. Poor video is much more easily forgiven than bad audio. You need to pay attention to your audio.
Now we'll talk about audio. Audio is just as important as the video in video productions. It's easy to sort of overlook audio and get obsessed with the visuals, but the audio is important as well. If you think of videos on YouTube, videos that you can see but that you can't hear what's going on are very hard to watch, and you pretty much can't, unless you can lip read, you don't stay watching them. But even if a video doesn't look so good, if the audio is clear and has good value, then people will continue watching. So audio is really important. There's a lot of great tools in Premiere to help you have good audio. You know, you need to shoot good audio, or you need to record good audio in the first place, but sometimes things happen, as well as things are recorded at different levels. And so we can fix a lot of that in Premiere. All right, so we've changed over to the audio workspace, and here you have some of the same things. You have your project panel, although you have access to some of these things a little easier. I'm actually going to squish that down a little bit. And then you have audio meters. You have a source window. So if I double click on this, that source goes up there. But what we really want to look at is the audio for that source. And then the video, the program monitor is not so big, because right now we need to pay attention to video, but mostly we want to be concerned with audio. And then we have our essential sound panel over here, which we'll talk about, as well as our timeline, of course. Let's squish that over, maximize that, and a pretty big audio meter here. We're going to actually add some more audio meters by going down here and in the timeline, we're going to click the little wrench, and you can't see it, but down at the bottom there is a choice called Customize Audio Header. Choose that, and you're going to want to put a track meter on the track, and you can actually do this. I believe if there is audio on the other tracks, this will show up as well. We want to move it out a little bit so we can see it a little bit better, but you can see now, I'm going to play it, you'll see not only does the meter go up over here, the meters go up over here, but there's a little meter right there, so you can see specifically what each audio track is doing and how at what level it's recorded at.
Excuse me.
Sorry. We don't have anything up here yet, but
Is this...
yeah, so that will match basically that, but if you have more audio, this meter will show all the audio and all the clips and any music or any kind of a special effect, while this meter only shows what's on a specific track. So that's where we're going to get set up from, right there. Now this meter here that shows the overall volume, you really need to pay attention to this. It's measured in dB, and that is decibels, and where we want to hit with our volume is somewhere between -12 dB and -6 dB. If we hit 0, that's called the ceiling, and when your meter hits that, that's the red zone. It often will compress your audio and make it sound, for a better word, crunchy. It just could distort it a little bit. It doesn't sound right. The optimum area is right in here, between 6 and 12 dB, and so you want to be really try to be consistent that your highest levels shouldn't go much higher than 6 dB, and sort of a regular audio level somewhere in between 12 and 6. So let's go ahead and play this clip right here and see how it does.
Is this seat taken?
Okay, so it gets up to about 12. It could be a little bit louder. This is a very quiet track here. As you can see, we can go through it. There's not a lot of really loud stuff here. But you can see that that one little tink gets up here pretty high. So you got to pay attention to those kind of things. Let's go ahead and get a piece of music here. I'm just going to drag that down here for right now, and we'll come out here and I'm going to play just a little bit of it. I'm not going to talk, but I want you to watch the meter. You can see it hits almost perfectly at -6 dB, and that's what you want. Sometimes music is recorded really loudly and really almost maxes out, and so you have to pay attention to that when you're editing, especially dialogue and music together. They need to interact so that one doesn't drown out the other, but when one's playing by itself, it needs to be loud enough. And it needs to be consistent throughout your production. You don't want to have someone really quiet talking and then someone really loud talking, unless it's their characters. Just because you recorded them at different times, and maybe with different microphones or different cameras, you need to try to make all your audio be consistent and be a high enough level so that it's a good quality audio track. So if we want to see this up close and in detail, we're going to double click on it and it will open up. This is that music track. It will open up in the source monitor, and because it has no video, it doesn't show us any video. It automatically opens up in the audio waveform, and we can see the waveform here. We know this is recorded at a decent level because our meters are telling us it's hitting right about there. Yeah, that's good. And so we have a left track and a right track. They're not exactly identical, but they go with each other. So this is basically stereo. And yeah, we can actually go in and look at it closer if we want to. There's all kinds of different things we can do here. But what I really wanted to show you is if you have a video clip, you can look at the waveform too. If it loads the video, it has these buttons, these drag only, but they also control what's being viewed up here. So if I click the waveform, we see the waveform. Now it's not recorded very high, right? And we can see that here. And it looks very different from this waveform right here. And you can set, this is just basic like any other setting a source ins and outs on a video. You can set ins and outs on an audio clip as well if you only want to use a little bit, and then you can drag it down and put it into an audio track just like you can a video into a video track. Now there's some other controls I want to talk about. Is here in the audio tracks you have the mute button, which means it just mutes a track. But you also have the solo track, and that just means if there are multiple tracks with audio on it at the same time and you only want to hear one specific track, rather than having to go mute all the other tracks, you can just click the solo track and listen to just that track. So let me show you. You don't hear the music. Now you are. Now I'll solo the music. But you can't really hear the difference there because this one's so quiet. But that just helps you, that solo will just help you hear the one track. So if there's like a noise, you can't figure out if it's coming from the music track or which, you can't tell which track it's coming from, you can go through and solo them each and find out where it is and deal with it. It's very easy to record voiceovers right into Premiere and then work with them in Premiere. You're not really stuck with anything. But if you have something that you just need to describe as it happens, a voiceover is a great way to do that. So I'm going to do that with here. I'm going to start right about here. And what I want to do is put my playhead where I want to start. And again, this is a great way to mock up voiceovers. Maybe you have a professional that's going to do the voiceover, but you need something that you can edit to. You can do it this way, or if it's your own project, or you know, you're doing projects where it doesn't have to be so precise, this is a great way to do a voiceover. So what I'm going to do is put that playhead where I want it. I'm going to actually record it on audio 2, not audio 1. I like to leave audio 1 for primary audio that comes from the video. This doesn't have any, so I really don't have to do that. But what I typically do is video that I import in audio goes on audio track 1. If the video's on video track 1, the audio for audio track 2 goes on 2. And then I'll put like music and other things below that and make more tracks if I need to. For this one, I'm going to put the voiceover on track 2. So I'm going to click that, and now as soon as I click it, it's recording. It's got a little feedback. So that didn't work out so well, but you can see now I have this. It's recording. It's got a little feedback. All right, so there it is. It's because my my microphone is right next to the speaker on my computer, so that's why it's feeding back. Normally it wouldn't do that, but that's how easy it is. And then you can edit that as you need to. If you want to open it up in here, you can edit it in here, all kinds of different things. So it's very easy to record that voiceover. Just remember, you click it, it goes into record, and I think you have a count to 3 before it actually starts recording. But even if it records early, remember you can edit this clip just like you can edit any clip. Very often you'll need to adjust the levels of the audio in your video production. Usually when you're at least in school and you're doing your own production, you're going to see this where both the left and the right tracks are in the same audio track in Premiere. Higher level ones are recorded actually separate, left and right, and would be in actual different tracks. But mostly you're going to see this until you get, unless you get a higher level video production position. All right, so what we want to do, we're going to edit this guy. I'm going to double click on it, and the waveform's going to come up here. If I see the picture, remember all I have to do is click on the little audio button there and we'll see it. And then we're going to hop over to the effects control tab. And you can see there's an audio effects section now and a volume section. So I'm going to open that up, and let's play this clip and see where it lands.
Excuse me. Is this seat taken?
It's pretty good. It's right on -12. We might want to maybe bump it up by 1 dB. So here, right here, we can do that here. And you can use the left to right on it. I have a hard time with it, so I'm just going to type it in, 1.0. All right, and so let's listen to it now and see if it made a difference.
Excuse me. Is this seat taken?
Yeah, it's just a little bit. It's just a little bit more because we've added a 1 dB to it, and that might be enough for what we want to do. So that's one way that you can adjust the levels. There's another way you can adjust your audio. I'm going to bring this all the way back down to 0. If I can hit it. Doesn't want to do that. All right, I'll just stay at -0.0 dB, close enough to 0. So that at 0 is where it was recorded. So that's pretty soft. Again,
is this seat taken?
It's not too bad, but it's kind of soft. But we can adjust the volume by right-clicking on the clip and picking audio gain. And this is where we can do some things. We can adjust the gain by a certain amount of decibels. That's the same thing as changing it right here. We can tell it to get a specific gain, such as 12 dB, which is pretty much right around where we want to be. And then we also have this thing called normalize peaks, and I'll show you how that works in a second. So let's go ahead and raise it 3 dB. Now watch the waveforms down here. You can see they jumped just a little bit, so now they're just a little bit louder.
Is this seat taken?
And the meter's going a little bit higher. So just remember, you want to try to get the majority of the meter lines to come up right in between -6 and -12. In many productions, video and audio are recorded at different times, in different locations, of different people, and the audios don't always match. Sometimes they're lower, sometimes they're higher, and you want them all to be about the same. I'm going to play a couple of clips here so that you can see what I mean. And you can actually even see it visually. Let me open this up. So this one right here,
I was searching for something.
It's pretty low, right? Let's look at the meter.
I was searching for something.
It's only hitting about -18, and we want it to be between -12 and -6. Here's another one.
I couldn't say what it was, but
It's pretty good.
suffice to
And
say,
this one's really loud, right? I think this is pretty
I
loud
would know when
too. All right, so we want those all to more or less be the same, and but we don't want to go through there and have to adjust every one of them. So there is a way to do this. I'm going to actually move this over so we have a little more room, and then I'll zoom out a little bit. All right, so here's all the her speaking points. It's the same woman. She appears every once in a while, and you can see they're all over the place as far as how loud they are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select them all by dragging over them, and then I'm going to right click and get this audio gain little menu up again. And after adjusting the gain or setting the gain, there's a normalize. So normalize max peak to a certain amount and normalize all peaks. And peaks just mean the loudest point in that section of audio, that clip of audio. And so if we normalize them, that means take all of these clips and set the highest max peak to the same amount, then the audio should be more or less the same across. So we're going to tell it to normalize all peaks to minus, we'll pick a number in between 12 and 6, -9. Now, let's make this bigger. Oh, it won't let me. Just watch these little waveforms and see what happens when I click OK. So now you see the ones that were really loud came down, the ones that were really soft went up, and let's listen to them now and see if it's better.
I was searching for something. I couldn't say what it was, but suffice to say,
See, they're much closer. Now, at this point, you might have to go in there and tweak a little bit more. For example, this one is still a little bit soft, so I might bring the volume on it up just a hair. And you would go through and tweak those. But by using that normalize all peaks, let me just show it to you again. It's an audio gain on the right click, and do normalize all peaks to a certain dB, and then hit OK. And they should, you know, the Premiere attempts to make them about the same, and then you just have to go in there and sort of adjust minimally so that they're mostly about the same. Let's talk about the Essential Sound panel. There's a lot of different things you can do in here. There's some presets that you can pick right up front, or you can go into these different sections. I have the audio clips that we normalized all selected, and they are dialogue clips. So I'm going to click the dialogue button to assign the dialogue type to these clips, because that's what they are. So I do that. Now they're all assigned that dialogue clip, and while I'm in here, I can do some things. I can pick a preset and improve it, using one of these presets. These presets are basically just different combinations of these settings down here. I can also tweak it in if there's some noise I want to reduce. Maybe there's a hum that I need to get rid of, or the S's in, while people are talking are a little too S-y, or maybe there's some echo. I can fix those. I can also clean up the equalization here under clarity. And then I can also, if I wanted to, like maybe do some other little special effects here to make it sound different. In addition, I can increase the volume on it. I don't want to do that because I already did that. But okay, so that's good. Now, one thing that is going on here is sometimes the music that's playing in the background, which is called the music bed, is a little bit too loud for the audio. So let's,
Construction.
I mean, it's okay, but and it will sound okay on your computer and maybe in a pair of headphones, but when you play it on a television or a projection system, it will drown out the audio. So we want the music to go down when there is dialogue and come up while there is not dialogue. That is called ducking. And we could do that manually by creating keyframes along here and dragging it up and down and up and down. But there's actually an easier way to do that. So we're going to click the music track and we're going to assign the music the music type music to it. Makes sense. And when we do that, we come in here, and again, there's some presets that we can use. We can change the loudness. We could also change the duration if we wanted to. But the thing that we really want to do is ducking. Now, there's some auto ducking here, and that ducking is what we call it when we go down and come back up. Audio's ducking below the dialogue. Is why we call it that. And you can pick that if you want to. So let's try that. And it didn't really do too much there, so I'm not really sure. Oh, because I got it. What it does is it just checks this. You have to do this anyway, I forgot. And you want to duck it against the dialogue clips. We already told it that these are dialogue clips. And so that's what we want to do. So what we need to do is we need to click this generate keyframes, and it'll make those keyframes that we could manually do, but it should make it for us. And let's see what happens. It's working. Sometimes this works like a charm. Sometimes it doesn't work as well as you hope. So like there, it didn't really do much. It actually stayed the same and then came up once she stopped talking. So we might want to increase the sensitivity of that so that it is more sensitive to the dialogue. So let's do that again. See what happens here. It didn't really change it, and it's probably because of this preset. So let's try the hard vocal ducking and try that. Let's generate the keyframes. And very often a lot of these things, because every production is different, you just have to keep trying it and seeing what works. Now this worked much better. Right, so this preset of the hard vocal ducking worked really good, and now you can see it goes down. Now it goes down really fast, and that's why it's called hard ducking. So let's listen.
I couldn't say what it was, but...
Now that's too much, right? We don't want it to actually go down that much. So what we can do is go in here and tell it to not duck quite as much, and then regenerate those frames. And they should jump up here. Yep, that's a little bit better. So now let's listen to this.
Suffice to say,
It's still a little bit too much. So I would keep working on this until you could still hear those lows in between the highs, right? So the times where the audio or the dialogue is being spoken, you still want to be able to hear the music. You just don't want it to drown out the other. So now that's a little bit better. So let's listen to that.
I wanted to go to New York.
There you go.
All that construction. And then?
Right. So just when you're using auto ducking, just play with the settings until you get it to sound the way that you want. You can have it auto duck against other things like other music clips, special effects sound clips, ambience clips if you have just like birds chirping or whatever in the background. And then these are, you can't read it, but this is basically anything that doesn't have anything assigned to it. It's like we assigned the dialogue to that group. Auto ducking works great. You just got to play with it a little bit. You've probably seen in television shows or movies where the audio of one clip continues under the next video, or the audio from the next video clip starts playing in the under the previous video. Those are called L and J cuts. We're going to first do a J cut, and it's called a J cut because if you look at it, the audio comes back, so it's sort of like a J this way. What we're going to do is we're going to use this tool over here that we haven't talked about, the rolling edit tool. And what the rolling edit tool does is if you click on where something joins, you can see that it adjusts the video on either side of it. So we're going to use that tool to actually pull we're going to edit the video in a little bit closer. And actually, the edit's okay. There's more video than we see here. So if I double click on it, I'm actually going to go back to my editing workspace. If I double click on that, this clip, you can see, if we zoom out here, that there's a lot of footage on either side of this clip, which is this section right here. So we're good. We've got lots of audio. So what we're going to do is, you can see that there's hardly anything right there. We're going to pull this back so that we hear the audio from this clip underneath this clip. And we're going to do that by using that rolling edit tool. And we're going to, because right now if we do it, it moves both the video and the audio, and that's not what we want. We want to move just the audio. So we're going to hold down on a Mac the Option key, or on a PC the Alt key. And you'll see then it only affects the clips that you're dragging. So since we're doing the audio, it only changes the audio. So here we go. Let's listen to this. I'm going to turn it up a little bit. So that's called a J cut. And if we did it the other way around, it's an L cut. So let's go ahead and just do that on the same clip. We can go this way. This is a really good way also to transition. Actually, I'm going to do it on this clip over here. Transition from one cut to another to make it less jarring. So let's do that. There we go. Alright, so the audio from this clip is playing under this clip, and then the audio from this clip is backed up in under that same clip, and what you get is a little more natural sounding video. There you go. So those are J and L cuts, and you can do that as much as you need to. It's a really nice, a very professional type of edit, of audio edit.
Those are the basics of audio editing. So in the next lesson, we'll talk about audio effects and other ways to what we call sweeten the audio.